Okay, good afternoon. I have 1 o'clock, so I believe in starting on time and getting out on time so that you can make your next session or wherever it is, poolside or whatever it is you're gonna do. Welcome. My name is Paula Nelson, and I work for Step Up for Students. I work in the Office of Student Learning and Partner Success. What our department does primarily is we have been working with schools and parents to help find educational resources that they may need and to work with advocacy when needed in legislation, and lots of other things. So I'm very delighted to be here. Just a little quick background, my history: I spent 32 years retired from Pinellas County Schools. Started out as a special education teacher, then went into administration, high school principal, 2 high schools, and then I was the supervisor of the Fiddlers Gulf Coast Center in Pinellas County. So I have some background that kind of helps me with that. So I have some guests with me today from Step Up, not guests, some other speakers that are going to help answer questions. So I'm going to let you guys answer. I'm going to let Nia rest because she just got in. And Michelle Young, I'm going to come up and just say hi real quickly and what you do with Step Up so you can put some faces to names.
Hi everyone, welcome. I am Michelle Young. I am the operations manager for the Gardner Scholarship. I have actually been with Step Up overall for about 9 years. I've been with the Gardner program since the second year that it was in inception, so for the 2015-2016 school year. So welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monique Harvey, and I am the operations director with Step Up. I've been with the company for a little over 11 years now. I've been able to have a hand in all programs that we service. So I make sure that our operations department is running the way that it should, and your applications are getting processed in a timely manner. So I'm all things operations.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Estefania Nunes Brady, and I am the Programs Compliance Manager at Step Up for Students. So I help implement a lot of the legislative changes that we have going on yearly. And I've been with the company for about 6 years. It's good to be here.
And we call her Nia, so that helps. The presentation today is designed to give you some of the updates that are happening, have just happened in the legislation session in regards to the scholarships that we have, especially the Gardner Scholarship. One of the things that we know is there's a lot of boiling questions that you may have that are unique to your situation, and we want to do our best to help you as well. We probably won't address personal individual situations here today, but I want you to know that we do have an exhibit table over in the 600s, and if you have a question specific to your child and you'd like to have us help you work through it, we have these people are going to be at that table and can definitely do that for you. If you have a question that's for the good of the cause, then we certainly want to entertain that. I want you to know, too, that this is still new legislation that we are in the process still of operationalizing with the Department of Education. And so there are some things that maybe we don't have the answers to yet, but what we will do is promise to get those answers to you as quickly as we can. So just keep that in mind. So there are several scholarships that we manage, and I want to give you just a real quick overview of some of the other ones outside of Gardner so that you can help with by word of mouth. Tell a friend, a neighbor, a colleague, someone at your church, whatever, that might be a candidate for one of these scholarships as well. A few years ago, they started the Hope Scholarship, and the Hope Scholarship is awarded to students that are in a public school setting where they have experienced bullying. And bullying is defined in a lot of different ways. So you could go on our website and look at what all constitutes bullying. But basically, the process is very simple. If a family is in a public school and their child is being bullied, they report it to the principal. The principal must report it in the assessor report, which is the DOE reporting for incidences, and they are required to give them a letter that explains the Hope Scholarship, and then the parent can take it from there. So the award amount for 21-22 is increasing. It's very similar to our tax credit scholarship amount. And it will now be funded at not 95% of the FAFP, but 100%. I'm going to stop right there because one other thing I meant to tell you in the introduction is I don't profess to have all the answers, which is why I have these people here, and I have told them all, please interrupt me and correct me or add to whatever. I don't mind being corrected. And these awards will be released in July. July 1st starts the new year. So another one is a reading scholarship, and this also is for students in the public school system, and it's not to pull them out of the public school system, it's to provide additional support for students who have not passed the 3rd grade FSA test. So if you know any families that have a little youngin that is struggling with passing that 3rd grade, because you know that's a point in time where the school might hold a child back, then you can tell them about this reading scholarship. There are no real changes to the scholarship at this time, but what it does is provide a $500 scholarship to the family to help with tutoring in reading, resources in reading, buy some books, perhaps some technology or software programs that help them with reading, maybe a summer camp. Sometimes the districts put programs together that the parents can use those funds for. So those are students that are eligible, are the ones that are at the level 1 or 2 on the FSA. Our flagship scholarship is the Florida Tax Credit Scholarship, and that has been in place nearly 20 years now. I think we're coming up on our 20th year anniversary. And this is a scholarship for students. It's income-based, and it is funded by private donors. The household income has increased significantly. Now, a family of 4 who makes just under $100,000 can qualify for an income-based scholarship. And I'll show you in a minute, there's a table. So if you're a family of 6 or a family of 2, you can see where that level of income falls as well. It still does require us to prioritize low-income families or families that fall under the 185% of the federal poverty level. And again, the award amount increases again, just like with HOPE, from 95% of the FEFP, which is the state funding formula, to 100% of the state funding formula. These dollar amounts, these income levels, do take effect as of July 1st. Some changes, 2 years ago was FES. When did we get FES? About 2 years ago. This is going on our 3rd year with the Family Empowerment Scholarship. And it has in the past run kind of parallel to the tax credit scholarship, but the funding was not through private donors, it was state funded. So there's some changes that are coming down the pike here. So what's going to happen is the Family Empowerment Scholarship, or FES, as you'll hear me, everything is acronyms in our world, right? So it's going to have basically two pillars or 2 arms. One will serve students with special needs or unique abilities, and the other will serve income-based families. So what's going to happen is there will be a sunsetting of the Gardner. The name is going to change. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. The Gardner is not going away. It is now just simply going to be housed under FES as the one scholarship arm that serves children with special needs or unique abilities. The following year, July of 2022, McKay will sunset and roll into that track as well, that arm as well. So FES will be income-based and students with special needs, 2 tracks. So here's a little visual of that so that you can see. There is some thoughts that the tax credit scholarship may also fall under that, but right now it's out on its own because it receives funding from donors. The scholarship for students with unique abilities operates under an educational savings account. That's how our Gardner scholarship currently operates. Families receive funding based on the matrix, and that funding can be used to put your child in private school or to homeschool the child. And we'll talk in a minute about the things that the scholarship can be used for. When McKay rolls over into this arm, it too will become an educational savings account. Currently, the McKay scholarship is not. It's a tuition-only scholarship. So here is the income guidelines that I told you. It's probably a little light, but a family of 2 can make an annual household income of $65,325. If you are blessed to have a family of 13, you can bring in $252,600, and God bless you. This is for the FES income-based and the tax credit scholarship. Okay, good question. There is no income requirement for Gardner. It's all based on diagnoses. So in addition, eligibility for the FES income-based program also does, you can qualify based on your income, household income, which we talked about. You also can be eligible for transportation. Let me go back here. It can also available, the FES income base is also available for families who serve foster care children. So if you are in the foster care program, you can apply for and receive a scholarship, and you do not have to meet that household income requirement. New this year, a sibling of a student who is not only in the FES income base, because if one child qualifies under income, so does the other, but if you have a sibling of a student on the Gardner scholarship, can qualify for the income-based scholarship. So let me be very clear. That means the sibling that qualifies can go to a private school, not be homeschooled. It's not an ESA. It's the income-based scholarship. So I'll say that again. If you have a Gardner student, you have 3 kids, one child is on the Gardner scholarship, the other 2 do not qualify for special needs, they can get the FES scholarship and go to a private school. Okay? Hang on, I'll take questions in a minute if you try not to forget them, okay? Also, a child who is a dependent of any of the armed forces can now qualify regardless of income. It used to be they had to qualify for the income as well. Now, any rank or income in the military will qualify you for the income-based scholarship. There is also a part of the FES program that will allow you to apply for transportation to an out-of-district public school rather than the one the student has assigned. Nia, do you need to jump in? Hold on.
Yeah, that was updated to any school, as long as it's not the school the student is assigned to. So they don't have to be out of district for this portion, so that was updated.
Okay, so if you have a child in the public school system and you want them to attend another school even in the district or outside of the district, or just, okay, in or out, any school outside of your assigned school, you can qualify for up to $750 to help transport that student there, okay? That's part of the scholarship as well. Okay? Now, the McKay Scholarship. Keep in mind, Step Up for Students does not manage the McKay Scholarship. It is managed by the DOE, and it continues this year to be managed by the Department of Education, and we have our friends in the room as well, and I know there was a session earlier with a lot of questions with that. I am not an expert in McKay, so if we have questions related to that, we'll have to use our expertise there. But it will continue to remain the same for this year. The award amounts for the McKay Scholarship will be released in July, which means the same for Gardner. The matrix, we all know the matrix of services is what provides the funding, and we haven't gotten the funding amounts yet at all. We do know that the funding amounts have changed. We've been told. So let me just put that caveat here. Until we see it in black and white, we should be very careful to say what we're going to say. But the first 3 levels of the matrix funding, the 251, 252, 253, have been combined into one funding amount. I look to my compliance people for a nod. Things could change from last week when I talked about this, so I know to be careful. That amount, if your child receives a funding level of 251 or 252, actually goes up with that average. The 253 takes a little bit of a dip. If your child is on a 254 or 255, it goes up. So that is what we've been told. When we see the actual numbers in print, we'll know for sure, okay? Now, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to just say it again. In legislation this year, it has been written that next year the McKay Scholarship will roll into the Gardner, like I've said before, and it will be it won't be called Gardner, but it will be under the FES umbrella of pathway of students, scholarships for students with unique abilities. That process is yet to be determined. Okay, let's talk about the Gardner's scholarship. Many of you probably already are receiving the Gardner scholarship, and this is the big thing that I've already mentioned, that it's going to be rolled into the family empowerment. Do we have an exact name for it yet?
And our friends at the department have asked us to call it the Family Empowerment Scholarship, formerly Gardner, for now, until we decide on an actual name, which will be decided at the end of the summer, or middle summer. So.
TBA. Okay. And the application process now will be the same as how we've used it for the FES, and will meet the special ESA requirements. If you have already renewed your Gardner scholarship for this year, you don't need to do anything else. Don't worry about it. You're done. If you've not yet renewed, can they still renew? You can still renew. If you have not applied yet, you can still apply. And I'll talk to that in a minute. The Gardner currently operates as an educational savings account, so next year when McKay rolls in, it will be the same. To qualify, you need to be a resident of the state of Florida, so you have to have proof of residency. If your child is 3 before the date of September 1st, then or eligible for kindergarten, they can enroll. And this is the other big change with Gardner. The diagnoses that were under McKay have rolled over to Gardner this year. The highlighted diagnoses are new to Gardner. So now a child this year with a speech impairment, language impairment, OI, other health impairment, and so on, they now can qualify for the Gardner scholarship. If you are new to the Gardner scholarship and don't know much about it, these are some of the big categories that you can use the funding for. You know, there's a saying out there, I'm sure you've heard it, if you've seen one child with autism, you've seen one child with autism, right? Every child, it's why they call it unique abilities. Every child is different. So it's very hard to have one rule that follows and applies to everybody. But you may use it for private school or to homeschool your student, your child. You may use it for therapy or specialists that you might need your child to receive services from. If you're homeschooling, you might need it for curriculum. Even if you're in private school, if you have money left over after tuition, you can use it for things like therapy and curriculum. You can use it to purchase technology. You can also use it to start your college savings account with the Florida Prepaid or for post-secondary training. A child can, they have to be, it's only K, you can apply during K-12. You may use the funds, you may receive funds if your child does not officially graduate. Some children don't officially graduate at the end of 12th grade. They need additional services through transition. If they have not graduated, they can continue to receive scholarship funds up to the age of 22. They may use those funds because they roll over year to year, and they may use those funds beyond that age until they're depleted. If you don't use your funds, if you just collect them and you don't spend them, there is a little thing that says if you don't use any of the money in 2 years, we're going to put a hold on it and tell you got to use it, and then a year later you could lose the funding. So you definitely, if you apply, we assume you want to use the funds. We do have a parent handbook as well as a provider handbook. Some of you in here may be providers. On our website that we update every year, and usually in July is when the latest version is updated. Give us a little time because we have to take all the new legislation, interpret it, run it past DOE, make some decisions, and then we update it. We do have a Gardner Parent Advisory Council. We are not required by law to have it. We do it because we value the input from parents. We have had a selection process, a membership process over the last 3 or 4 years. And we try to rotate those parents. So you might get an email one day that says, are you interested in serving on our Parent Advisory Council? And they help give feedback to that handbook. Okay, so I think some of this we've talked about already. The matrix funding levels have increased. And legislatively, the scholarship will grow by 4,500 scholarship opportunities every year. We have tremendous support by our governor and our legislators on a bipartisan level to honor the needs of our special needs families. And so we are very, very blessed to do that. If you, in this, as you transition, let's say you are currently holding a Gardner scholarship, and your child has been funded at 253 matrix. And I remember I said a minute ago it dropped a little bit, and it really was a little bit. You will be funded at the higher of the 2 levels, and that you will be grandfathered. You will not feel that loss, and you are grandfathered year after year after year until the child no longer needs the scholarship. Okay? If you're new coming into Gardner scholarship, your 253 level will be just slightly lower than it has been in the past. Hope that clarifies that. In the past, the Gardner scholarship has been funded based on a total amount of money. Once the money's gone, no more scholarships. It's changed this year to be 20,000 scholarships are available to our children in Florida. Renewals always have the priority. Waitlist families are next legislatively to be prioritized, and then new applicants. The last I heard in one of our meetings, and do not quote me on this number because it changes when I blink, we had a little over 17,000 students awarded. So that says there's a little under 3,000 available to meet that 20,000 limit for this year. Keep in mind, next year it will go up 4,500. Now here's something really interesting that they did. Next year when McKay rolls over, all of those McKay scholarships will not count against the cap. And there's somewhere in upwards of 30,000 McKay scholarships. Nod, yes, okay. So then after that, we are looking at over 50,000 kids on a special needs scholarship educational savings account. Pretty amazing. Okay. So if you have not applied for the scholarship, it is not too late, but you do want to be ready to hit that button on July 1st because there are limited seats available. It can change throughout the year. You can be put on a wait list, and when somebody moves out of state and forfeits their scholarship, we have it to redistribute. So don't give up. Keep in mind, too, that all of our scholarships have a once in, always in rule. So once you apply, you do have to renew and that just tells us, yeah, I want to continue to receive the money, but you don't have to qualify again. The other thing that changed this year is the way the money is paid out. In the past, a family on Gardner would get the full funding amount in the beginning of the year. Now it's going to be distributed on a quarterly basis, which I understand is how McKay has been doing it anyway, so it's similar to McKay. Again, the whole purpose for doing these changes, a lot of it is to align these scholarships because every one of them had something a little different, operated differently. And we're trying to get everything for parents to make it a lot easier. And I shouldn't say we, the legislature is trying to get everything aligned and simpler for parents so it's not so complicated. Now, the fun begins. Some questions. And I'm going to go with this lady first, and then you, and then Barbara. Okay. Oh, I answered one already. Good.
I want to first say I'm new to Gardner, and I just want to say the customer service with Step Up has been really great. So I just want to give you that feedback.
Thank you.
The one thing that I haven't been able to get a correct, well, I'm not sure if I've gotten a correct answer because when I've called back So my question is, I'm looking to the funds to put them in a college-like program, and the question I have is, do those funds have to be used at 22, or is there an extension after 22 for the college-like experience that those funds can be used?
Get there.
So once the funds go into a correct college program that's in the family parent book, I couldn't get I got different answers when I called in.
So she's asking for some clarification on how funds can be used for the college
And when?
and when. So I'm going to defer to my expert over here.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's supposed to work kind of like the regular account. So yes, you can roll them over into the, there's two plans that we use, the 529 and the Florida prepaid. So after 22, you have 2 years. So just kind of like now with the regular funds in order to utilize those funds. So if you don't, just like the regular account, they're supposed to be, the DOE is supposed to then, the funds are supposed to go back to the DOE.
Still not quite, because my son most likely will be in school, high school, till 22.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was hoping to use the funds for college life experience.
Correct.
So I'm trying to find out, is there an age limit after 22
No.
for those college programs?
No, there's no age limit after 22. The age limit on the 22 is either when they graduate or turn 22 for additional funding, whichever comes first. But if there's funding still in the account, they can use those funds until they're depleted, right? So they just have to, as a continuing student, they wouldn't be able to get additional funds, but they would just have to reapply saying, yes, I still want to access these funds and use them.
Right, they would, if I understand correctly, after 22, he can just continue to use his funds that he's already saved in his savings account.
Yep, until they're all gone.
Until they're all gone, and that can be used for therapies?
Yep.
Therapies? Wow.
Yep. So it could still be used for any of our pre-approved expenses, like off our list. So if if you use at least, $1 a year or whatever, like you're still utilizing the funds, you continue to use those funds until they're depleted, right? If you choose to, if you have like 10,000 and you only use, as long as you continue to use them, right? You're just not going to earn any additional funds. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Don't just.
Once in, always in? That's not true. With high risk, if they don't have the diagnosis, once they reach 6, they're done.
Well, that is correct. Thank you for correcting that. It's high risk. Is high risk defined as developmentally delayed as well? Remember, that is a diagnosis that's very temporary. So if at the end of age 5 there is no diagnosis, then they do not continue with the scholarship. Thank you for clarifying that. That's important. What else?
When you say siblings can apply, what account does that come out of? Forces it into FTC?
FES.
Does that mean that they can only use the siblings for private school, or can they homeschool as well?
No. I think I covered it, but I covered a lot. If you qualify, if the sibling gets awarded a scholarship, a sibling of a student with a Gardner scholarship, they can only use the income-based FES. All right, Nia.
Sorry, and I just want to clarify. So I know we say Gardner because that's what we're used to, but the way that it works is since it's going to be rolled into the Family Empowerment Scholarship, any sibling of an eligible Family Empowerment Scholarship student qualifies for a scholarship. So if you have qualified based on a diagnosis for the Family Empowerment, the sibling of that student would qualify for the private school and transportation, well, not the private school piece of the Family Empowerment Scholarship. Does that answer the question? Great.
Barbara, and then we'll come back to these other people. I'll go over here. Barbara.
Clarification, you said that at the end of 2 years of not using the scholarship, that families would get a letter and,
A notification. I don't know if it's a letter.
it would default after 3 years.
It changed.
Earlier in the DOE
It changed.
presentation, I thought I heard that the rumblings that we've heard in the PAC meetings for a couple of years now had actually come to fruition, and that it would sundown at the end of 2 years, not 3 years.
Correct. So at 2 years of no activity, the funding will go back to the state. Yep. No problem.
I was told something differently earlier today, so I guess that's my
I wasn't there. I wasn't there. So yeah, yeah, that's new to this year. However, because all of the funds roll over from Gardner, then the inactivity is also rolling over. So no problem.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go over here. Come back in a minute.
As a parent of children who were enrolled into the Family Empowerment Scholarship, and I also know their parents and students as well, Family Empowerment Scholarship, when that came out, it automatically, it has been that it automatically made the rest of the family eligible. Like, I had kids who did not have any scholarship that then became available under the Family Empowerment Scholarship as well, because my children are adopted. They were in foster care, so one qualified under foster care. Even though they all did, it kind of was, I had already adopted them. But the one that was currently in foster care and I qualified under out of home care, then qualified my other ones that did not have a medical diagnosis for Gardner. So that was that one. I wanted to clarify her question, because I understood her to say that she's going to move her funds to a 529, or she's going to move her funds from the SUFS management to a college savings plan. And I understood that she was wanting to know how much time that she had to use them after she moved them, or what she could use them for once she moved them. So I wanted to make sure that I understood, once you move your funds into that college savings plan or something for college, then you follow their, that's what I was going to ask Jenny.
Money to use for maybe your child wants to go to a technical school or receive additional therapies, then your money in your account to pay for that. But if you put it into to a 529, you now use their rules. Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm sorry if I missed your next.
I have two questions. First question is, if we have a McKay scholarship now, is there any advantage to applying for Gardner? Should we?
So okay, so there are more than, so if you switch from McKay this year to the Family Empowerment, you can use your funds for different things. So if you go to a private school that costs less than your scholarship money, you can use the leftover money for part-time tutoring, you can use it for, therapies and other things, right? If you have the McKay scholarship and your school tuition is less than the scholarship award, all the scholarship is gonna pay is the tuition and fees, that's it, right? So that's one option. The other thing is, if you do public school, it will stay within the district, so you don't have a scholarship because you don't have money, but you still have that option available to stay within the public school district. And I answered that correctly, right? Yes. Well, you can't, so it's basically like double dipping, right? So if you go to the public school district, then you can't get the funds for other things. So then if you stay within the public school district, they will provide the services, and then you will stay within that system, right? But if you come to the scholarship, then you can go to a private school, you can do homeschool and different options as well. So that would just be what you decide as a family. Well, if you're foster, you qualify. Well, for adoption, there's the only thing that the reason why we're using option now is because it wouldn't count against the cap of the amount of scholarships that we have available. But there's no additional benefit per se. Is there any? Okay, and I'm gonna look at my DOE people just to make sure that I'm answering this correctly. If the student graduates from high school and they have funds available in their account, they're not gonna lose those funds if they go to a public school afterwards. Does that make sense? So, however, if you're not gonna receive additional funds. Does that make sense? So you do lose your funds if you don't use them. So if you, right. The funds you have in your account at that moment,
But the caveat there is that they have graduated.
right, but it doesn't, the funds are there and they can continue to use the scholarship funds until they are finished.
So just to kind of clarify that is if, for example, if you've been with Gardner for 18-19 school year, 19-20 school year, 20-21 school year, right? You were either homeschool, private school, right? 21-22, your students funded, you decide to move back to public school, right? So only your 21-22 funds are removed from the account. So you still have access to the previous year's accounts because your student qualified during those particular school years. Correct.
With the things that are approved to use through the.
Correct. So, yes.
So once he graduates, he'll still have those funds, and then I can put him in vocational training, even though it's.
Can she use them to pay for public school vocational training is the question.
It would have to qualify under one of our post-secondary schools, eligible schools, and those are, yes, right. So those are listed, like there's links in our parent handbook that can send you to the different websites of that you can do search for eligible post-secondary schools that we would pay. Yes. Yes.
Way in the back.
So I heard you say that the money can be rolled into college savings, the Florida prepay, correct?
Yes.
So since April 2000 accounts instead of the Florida prepay, can that money roll into an April 2000 account instead of a Florida prepay?
No.
No, thank you.
Okay, right up here and then in the back.
So rollover funds, if our children have rollover funds and they graduate at 22, say some of these kids at the higher 255 matrix potentially have $30,000, $40,000 rolling. Am I understanding it correctly that there is no age limit to use these? Like they can be potentially 50 years old as long as you're purchasing something every year.
You're gonna continue using the program. So if you don't renew or say I'm gonna continue to use this program, then the funds will go back to the state. So that's the thing. You need to be using them on a yearly basis. Make sure there's activity in your account and continue to say, hey, I'm going to be using these funds. If you don't, then we take them away and then they have to be approved. Yep. Correct. You don't get more funds after 22.
The renewal process is basically telling us I still want to use or receive.
My name's Tim. I have a daughter. We have two daughters that are on Gardner. My daughter, anyway. This is Kiki. She's waving to you.
Hi.
She's been a Gardner since she was 5.
Okay, I'm gonna. So, and I want to say I appreciate. First of all, you're an amazing speaker, and can we please take you to Tallahassee because we know we. I think it's very empowering to hear from people. We pride ourselves at Step Up that we do share all of our stories. It's very important to us. Every single year that there's a legislative session, these things can change. And it's very important that our families are engaged. If you're not happy this year, please keep notes. It's very important. We're gonna September committee meetings start, right? So it's very important that our families are engaged. We understand that this might not have been what we all wanted. We understand that our families are a little bit concerned. We hear you. We hear you. We really do. As far as the chat option, every time I go on the website, I get it. So, and we go on our own website every day, and I get it. So I hear you, and I think it's great feedback for us to take back. Please continue to reach out to our governor. He is, in my opinion, he's awesome, and he's very eager to hear you. And please continue to share your thoughts with them. Assess this year. It may work. It may work. We're gonna do our very best at Step Up to make sure that it works for you. Our operations staff is, they want to make sure we're taking care of our families. So please, we want our feedback. And even though sometimes, we hear that a lot of our parents are upset, we want to take all of that feedback back. So, and again, I know we've said this before, but we do talk with, whenever all of these things are coming up, we're aware, but we don't have control of what ends up happening. So we want to make sure we hear you, we take back your feedback, and please, get involved. Talk to your legislators and talk to your governor because they will hear you out. So that's all I can say. Of course.
And we just want it to stay good. Right now, we just want it to stay good. Yeah. And can anybody tell me what the definition of other health impairment is?
It's a big catch-all.
I'm a mental health professional, so that concerns me too. I could say I have a wart and it's other health impairment.
So I will give you my former public school special education answer.
Please.
And my DOE people can correct me.
Please.
I probably will. That was kind of a catch-all for a lot of things like children with ADD or ADHD.
But those diagnoses exist.
First of all, it could be a lot of things, and it's an IEP team or evaluation team's decision as to whether it's not. I don't think a word would qualify you, but somebody might.
I didn't mean to be rude. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just trying to be funny.
I apologize.
I don't.
Hold on, let me address the customer service.
Is that right? Yeah. It's a catch-all, kind of like a 504 plan. It's a team decision.
Sure.
So I see several other.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Paula, wait.
I'm sorry. Monique, did you
Yes.
want to say something?
I just wanted to address the customer service piece of everything. So in operations, our main job is to make sure that our customer service is wonderful and that each parent has a good experience, whether it's chat or when you call in. If you're getting the email feature when you try to chat, that is because there is not an agent available.
No. Please forgive me, but that's not what's happening. It always popped up, and so it's not because there's not I've done it's different hours a day, different times. That's not what's happening.
Yeah, because we do have live chat agents, so when you do see the pop-up, that is an actual live person behind, behind that chat.
Even if the pop-up doesn't come up, there's still a little thing on the bottom that says chat now. That's not there anymore. Now it just says email.
We'll go back.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what machine I'm on. Doesn't matter what time of day.
Is there a particular page that you're on?
No, but on the landing page, and it's on every page, but you see it.
Yeah, because I'm on the web, like Nia said, we're on the website every day, and that option still continues to pop up. So,
Pops up for us. And
yeah.
we're like, no, go help someone else. Because we're on the website, right? If we log into the website and we're doing search, they're thinking that we're a customer or something, so it also pops up to us. So we quickly close it so it doesn't hold anything up, for a real customer per se.
We have a question over here and then a question in the back. The next two.
I think we're kind of in the same. For a private school and then this past one, homeschool. And I might have missed in the beginning,
So I'm gonna add to that. If the funding amount for some reason is higher for your specific county, or you're gonna get the higher of the amount. So you either get a grandfathered in from your 2020-21 school year, or you get the funding amount for the current year if it's higher. No, it's not gonna. No, it won't. It will not. No, it won't. Not for current family. So if you're a Gardner family for the 2020-21 school year, you're not going to get a lower amount moving forward. Only if you're a brand new family there's a possibility that your award amount might go a little bit lower if you're 253. That's it. If you're a current family, your award amount will not lower. Okay. No, you're good.
Has somebody in the back, and then I'll go to two more hands after this.
ESA 2.0. That's when the EPFLUX is going to come in.
We are busy doing a lot of things, but I'm going to let you guys kind of speak to the actual technical end of it.
Yeah, so in the operations department, we are well aware of preparing for that influx of students that will start coming in from McKay. So we have already started, about 2 years, we've been anticipating just to make the process more better for you guys, but now also adding those new students. So we are in the process currently with our IT department and other outside companies to develop a more sophisticated system that will be a lot easier for you guys to submit reimbursements as well as take on that additional amount of students.
Gentlemen, stand.
So yeah, because it's the weekend, so we have a person Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like a normal business hour, because there's a pair. Right, no one is available right at this moment because it's the weekend.
So you say Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 only?
That's the chat, right? Yeah. So 7:30 to 4:30.
The lady right there in front. Yes, you.
Just a question about the funding. You said if you're a current family, I have one son that's a current recipient, but I applied for my second son, so he would be new. Right. Would his funding amount be reduced this year with the new changes?
It depends on your situation. So
Well, he would be a standard because he's never been in the school system, so he would be a standard matrix 253. My other son is a higher matrix, so his would actually increase.
so
But if
so
he's considered new, he would decrease with the new legislative changes.
there's a possibility, but we haven't gotten the award amounts, so we don't know yet.
I know, but you're saying it's going down because it's averaging the 251 to
But we're also getting a higher percentage of the FEFP, so that's why it may not. So this is just all, we don't have the funding yet.
for families to plan
Absolutely,
school year when they don't know how much money they could potentially
absolutely.
for, especially if you're doing for tuition.
No, you're right. It's very difficult to plan. But we don't get the award amounts until after the budget is signed, and then and the DOE doesn't have the budget yet, and they don't have all of the calculations yet. As soon as we have that, then we will share that with our families because we understand that you need to plan. So 100, we get it.
Let me, the lady in the back, and then this.
Well, Right.
DOE has to have it on record.
Right. So we send our files to the DOE, and then they cross-check, make sure that the information that we have is accurate. If the matrix is higher on their end, that's what we get back, and that's how you get funded.
Right, but if it's not at the DOE, how does it get to the DOE from the
Then the district.
Then you have to have the district send it. Now,
So if you don't know your matrix, you can get your specific student. You can go to the district, and they have to evaluate your student. So there's CAPA, when you apply, we ping the DOE, we send the information to the DOE, and the DOE. But you can call the school districts that usually charge the
If you're having issues with that, getting your email, I'm sorry, getting your matrix or anything like that with the district, or maybe they're not compliant, just contact us and we'll try to work with the district on your behalf. But contact the district, ESC office first, give them a chance.
They have every district has an assigned representative, and we have their contact information on our website.
When we get pre-authorizations, and we get, yes, that is pre-authorized, and then we go to reimburse, and we're told, no, it's not. Why is there such a discrepancy? If it's approved, right?
Right. So I'll answer the first question. So a learning specialist is just a status. Okay? So, but I will say, when a pre-authorization goes to the learning specialist status, there is a committee that meets that I am also involved with once a week. Okay, it's our compliance department is involved, our finance manager is involved. There's several people involved in that committee. We come together, we review what the item is that's being asked for. And you may get requests for additional documentation. That's because we've said, we've basically looked at it and we're saying, okay, we need this documentation. If we get it, then we'll have to relook at what they submit and then decide at that time. Because sometimes our compliance department actually, I mean, there's different levels that get involved. Sometimes we have to reach out to the DOE for assistance. So there's sometimes that we have to go to other departments, other like areas to get assistance to make sure that if we can approve this item, will we be in compliance and not get in trouble to approve it. So there's different levels that those items may have to go through. So that's why those pre-authorizations may take months to get through the whole process.
And we go into the reimbursement. Had to pay out of pocket for
Right?
items that scholarship clearly does not carry. Then they're being denied as not a covered item.
So let me ask you this, because whenever you get a pre-authorization approved, you're supposed to then go into the pre-authorization and turn that into a reimbursement. If you do not turn that pre-authorization into a reimbursement, when the processor receives that reimbursement for an item that is not part of our approved list, they're going to deny it because that pre-authorization is not attached telling them that it's been approved by this committee, saying that this item, we're signing off on this, our compliance department has signed off on this item and has approved it. So if it's just submitted as a reimbursement, yes, more than likely it will get denied. But there's, the pre-authorizations have to be turned into the actual reimbursement.